and Barbecue. Welcome, everyone, to another Booze, Booze, and Barbecue. This is Andy.
And this is JoJo.
JoJo, how are you doing?
I am fantastic.
I'm also doing fantastic because we are here with Steve of Trinity Vineyards in his amazing tasting room. I am super impressed by this space. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love the outside space as well. Can I just say that, Steve?
We do. We have a full summer music series that we put on, which is great. So we utilize the outdoor space. We even built a stage so that we could put the music guests on that so they don't have to look directly into the sun.
Awesome.
And just kind of identify that space for them. And when it's not a stage, it's a great place to just kick it.
Oh, the views out here.
Oh, man.
I took a couple of photos, and I'm going to have those up, of course, on the website and on the Facebook and the Instagram. But, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful views.
We never get tired of it. Yeah, we love it.
How could you? My gosh.
Yeah, I grew up out here, actually, just like on the next hill over, and I love coming out. Coming out here is coming home to me.
Cool.
So it's great, and you guys have phenomenal events. I've been to many of them. My husband and I are wine club members here. You've known my father-in-law since you guys were kids.
He's my oldest living friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
He gets that title.
Yeah, so it's great. We love it. Love it here. And it doesn't hurt that the wines are amazing.
Thank you. That's nice.
Yeah. And not only do you serve wine at your events, but you also serve some beer, right?
We do. We like to feature local breweries and just showcase some of their products as well. They're kind of, our partners in all of this. They're just part of the equation of hosting guests and having people out. And some people come out and they're like, well, Steve, my husband doesn't drink wine. But would sure love a cold beer.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have one? So it started out where I was buying cases of like Bud Light and so on.
Sure.
And just, I got a beer here. Then I got a kegerator with one spout, and I got a kegerator with two spouts. And so we do cider and beer and wine, and it's great.
Yeah, something for everybody.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's very smart. That's very smart. Because not everybody's going to want wine. As amazing as the wine is, some people are just haters.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you're not going to convert them with trying to whip them into shape.
No.
It's more of just, hey, you know what? It's cool. We have options for you.
Yeah, everybody's welcome.
How'd you get
No matter your
started
taste.
here, by the way?
Wow, that's a long story.
Is
How
that
much
a complicated
time?
question?
This is a great story though. We got all night, man.
How much time do we have? Right.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this story. I'm genuinely curious.
Well, we'll delve into it a little bit. So, back in the day, in the early 90s, my wife Cindy and I were living by Judson Middle School, and we were thinking, how cool would it be to live in the country? She grew up in the country, grew up on a small farm. I have a lot of experience of growing up and working on small farms, and my childhood was actually spent picking strawberries and beans.
Wow.
And then I graduated as a
Boy,
teenager.
we're not doing that anymore.
No,
That's a shame. That's good work.
I did that, and did you do any of that?
I picked blueberries.
You picked
Yes.
Yeah. So all of us here have some type of bucking hay or picking berries
I did
type of
that too.
experience.
Yeah, I did that. As a teenager, I went to work for a farmer in Woodburn, Bernie Hitz at Hitz Farms, and I learned to thin apples and prune cane berries and drive a tractor, and you name it, we did it.
Nice.
So that was a great experience. And that when you get the dirt under your fingernails, I always say that it doesn't wash out.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always there.
It's always there. So we wanted to live in the country, and we drove all over the place on the weekends. It was kind of funny because our daughter's a big oldies fan from when she was a little girl. So we'd put her in the car seat, we'd turn up the oldies station, and we'd drive around South Salem looking for property.
That's awesome.
And she would sing to every single song that came on the radio. So we found this old goat trail, was what I like to call it, which was actually Wall Lane, which is the road up here. And we followed that up and it was really washed out and really in bad shape. And we came up here, and I saw this piece of property, and that at that time Cindy wasn't with me, or Kristen, and I got up to the top, and I was confronted, is what I'll just say, by 10 feet of blackberry vines, grapevines, hawthorn trees, Scotch broom, rotted posts, wire, everything that you could think that's just the biggest morass, a nightmare. And I saw this old, what looked like the corner of a real estate sign sticking out about 6 feet over to the side, and I thought, well, if I step on this and step on that and get in here, sure enough, I pulled it out, and it was a Caldwell Banker sign, and it was a real estate sign. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, maybe this is for sale. I don't know. Maybe should I want this? I don't know. So I skirted around the property because it was impassable, and I got all the way to the back here, and I found an old plastic chair, and oddly enough, it would hold my weight. So I got up on that chair, and I was just able to see over the top, and I saw this view, and it was like, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about all the nightmare,
I just got goosebumps.
hard work. This is it. So I went home. I told my wife I was so excited, I couldn't stand it. God dragged her out here and convinced her that this is great. Stand on that chair. It'll come to you. Just stand on the chair, right? So we contacted our realtor, and we made a ridiculous, just an absolute insanely low offer, and they took it.
What?
And they didn't counter. They just took it. And then we found out later that the person that took it was a lady that had bought Pat Wall's house over here. She was a state representative at one time, and her husband took care of the vineyard for years until he became ill and couldn't take care of it anymore. And they hired it out to a guy. His name was Wayne, I think, and he took care of it for years until he couldn't take care of it anymore. And then they just let it go. So it had been let go for about 15 years.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. You can imagine how long those vines were and what a mess it was. So we ended up buying it, closing on it. And while we were closing on this property, they still hadn't even completed dividing it from the other property. And so it was a little tenuous, a little shaky, but we were patient. We thought, well, if this is to be, it's going to be. So we bought the property, and we proceeded to go ahead and just get the land, get a path cleared through so that we could clear a path for the house and start building our dream home. And at the time, my wife and I were really into period homes, love Victorian architecture. And so we built a Queen Anne.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Victorian home. So that was 25 years ago.
Wow, time
July
flies.
4th. I mean, holy smokes.
Yeah.
So I can't even believe I have to pinch myself. So we went ahead and cleared that, and then the hard work began. After we built the house, we started dismantling all of this, cutting all the Scotch broom down, the hawthorn trees, pulling all the wire out with my Toyota pickup truck. Right?
Which you still have.
Just dang Toyota, man.
Yeah.
It never stops running.
That's right.
Yeah, which I still have. One owner. So pulled all the wire out, got all the rotted posts, burned those. We got it pruned down to find out that it was all Riesling and Gewürztraminer vines, which was, it was like, no, they were, that's great. But we were like, a lot of them shut down. I think that they had phylloxera. We're pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because one of the vineyards out here in South Salem, actually, they pulled up all their vines because they had phylloxera. And I think they used the same crew in both vineyards. And so it spread over here. So we ended up tearing out all of the vines. I mean, it was planted east-west. It was terraced. It was a nightmare. It was self-rooted. So I hired some consultants, Dr. Stephen Price and so on, and he came out and he looked at it and he goes, just to be honest with you, it'd be great to save these and maybe graft Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, but you know what? It's laid out so poorly, and it's so far gone with so many plants, so much plant loss. Just, you'd be better off just to tear it out and start over. So that was a little heartbreaking.
Wow,
that, we did all that work and we got to that point. But
had you done any soil studies or anything?
We did. We took core samples and sent them down to OSU. We have what's called Nikaya soil over the top of Jory, red clay. And everything was right for the soil samples and conditions and slope and solar aspect, everything. So we ended up tearing it all out, and then you know what? We weren't going to be defeated. So we laid out a brand new vineyard, and we planted it all in Pinot Noir, 3 different clones in 1998. So this year is 20 years. Here we are, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. We literally spent nights and weekends. I bought a tractor from the neighbor, and with a chain, my 7-year-old daughter and my wife and I wrapped chains around those plants and pulled them out one at a time. Made these huge piles, burned them.
And how many acres?
7 acres.
7 acres.
Said goodbye to all of that 10,500 plants.
Wow.
And, we with the help of our neighbor, Luis Correa, we you ripped it, dissed it, tilled it, limed it, laid out a new vineyard the right way, north-south. And very, very tight spacing. I had met with Gary Andrus, who's not with us anymore, but Gary had Archery Summit and Pine Ridge, and Gary was very knowledgeable. And he said, listen, Steve, plant it low, plant it tight, plant Dijon 777, 115, and Pomard, and that's a trifecta for success. So,
awesome.
I mean, the guy was an awesome owner and vintner, wine grower. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with his advice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Wow.
All these years later, we've
20
all
years.
that hard work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
success.
So yes, it's paid off to a certain extent. I don't know that really you could say, I don't know that anybody in a small boutique venture like ours, that they really make a lot of money.
Right.
That's not really why we're involved.
That's
with
not how
this.
you measure your success.
No,
in this.
we measure success by the friends that we make and the relationships that we have and the fun that we have. And we really look at passion. We think of it as passion in a bottle. We're putting in all this time and energy and work and passion and love into this bottle, and maybe somebody will open that bottle and they'll share it with somebody that they love over dinner or maybe at a wedding, and they'll say, gosh, you know what? I can taste the love right here
You really can.
in this bottle.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to steal that. That's going to be our motto for the podcast now. I'm going to replace wine and bottling things with headphones and podcast and microphone. Yeah.
Love. There you go. A lot of love.
We're sending out our passion over the airwaves or whatever
Well,
you
it's
call
funny
it.
because there is a lot of hard work and a lot of planning and a lot of things, a lot of moving parts and everything to put that wine, to get that juice in that bottle. It is an amazing amount of effort.
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone that makes wine or beer or whatever liquor that I know, I respect them. It's just an unbelievable amount of respect that I have for my compadres in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
It's
The amount of
amazing.
work that you have to put in for just a
man.
single bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, naming the vineyard was like naming our child.
Right.
I mean, it started out where we were like literally, well, see, we got 3 clones of Pinot Noir. We have 3 people in our family. We have 3 cats and there's 3 oak trees. And I don't know, the number 3 keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Three Stooges is taken. We could be called
Darn
that. Doggone it. And, it's, we need to come up with something and we need to make it simple because if it's too difficult for people to pronounce or remember, they're going to be like, Coda, Chateau La,
Yeah.
and they can never remember. So I thought,
Right.
well, if I could find one word that's a commonality for everybody, I watched The Matrix and I was like, oh, Trinity.
Oh, Trinity.
She's kind of hot.
The Matrix. That's hilarious.
No, so I looked at, I Googled,
Yeah.
I Googled that Trinity and there was one winery in New Zealand that had the name Trinity Hill. And I was like, you know what? They're never going to come over here.
Nah.
We're never going to go over there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're small peanuts. That's going to be fine, right? So we went ahead and took the name Trinity Vineyards and went ahead and lo and behold, they opened a second label here in the United States, Trinity Oaks.
Oh.
And, and then some other people down in Trinity County have like Trinity River and Trinity Hill, Trinity Mountain, and this and that. And I thought, okay, well, so much for trademarking that and making sure that nobody could take that.
I blame the Matrix.
I do too.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
It was the red pill or the blue pill.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I took the red pill. That's what happened. Sometimes I think, gosh, why did I do this? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Not just that you like rabbit holes, you like wine too.
Right. Exactly. Right. Right. But it seems like I did take that red pill though. Sometimes it's like, holy smokes, that's a long rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate, by the way, that you don't just have red pills up here. You also have some white pills and some rosé pills.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can come out and take one too.
That's right. So we're in 2018.
We are.
What are you expecting for your harvest this year? Are you thinking about anything that may be a 2018 release, something new?
Yeah, but I can't tell you.
Oh, it's a secret.
Yeah.
You have to stick around.
You're gonna have
Maybe
to
become a wine club
you're gonna
member,
have
and
to
then you'll
stay
find
tuned.
out.
But it has to do with the first bubbles. I'll just say that. I'll just say that.
I
Just-
like bubbles.
Yeah. Original.
I like it. I like it.
That's
that gives
exciting.
us enough to be excited.
Yes.
Right? Right? Who doesn't like bubbles?
There's nobody.
Haters.
Haters.
Haters, that's right.
Only in your bath? No.
No.
No. I challenge you, JoJo,
Yes.
to when this wine comes out, Thirsty Thursday,
Oh, yeah.
do just the sparkling wine in a coupe glass,
In my coupe glass, yep.
with a stainless steel straw.
Yep, I will do that.
There you go.
We found out from a friend of ours and a friend of the show that's a sommelier that was the way that they drank champagne in the 20s. It was very fashionable.
Super fashionable.
Yeah.
In fact, my wife collects antique coupes.
Really?
I just got my first one like a
Awesome.
couple weeks ago. I'm so excited.
she's really into it.
Yeah.
And my wife is an amazing mixologist.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
subscribes to Imbibe magazine and makes all kinds of great
And her
cocktails.
food pairings
That's-
are
yeah.
spot on.
She is gifted.
Yes.
Very.
I remember, not only do I remember, I will never forget the date with the dipped in the chocolate with the almonds stuffed inside paired with the Grenache.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
She does a lot of stuff like that. That's why I'm 30 pounds overweight.
At least you come by it honestly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's in a good way.
Yeah, it's an acquired.
So what do we have as a lineup in the tasting room right now?
So we are pouring a couple different vintages of Pinot Gris, the fruit that we source from the Coria Vineyards next door. And I like to mix it up a little bit and change it up. Sometimes people say, Steve likes to zig when everybody else is zagging. And so I purchased some fruit from Eastern Washington, and we have a 2017 Sauv Blanc that is quite nice.
It is quite nice.
We make a 2017 Pinot Noir Rosé, and then we're on to Pinot Land, which is what we grow. So we have a little mini vertical going. We have 12, 13, and 14 estate Pinot Noirs that we're pouring, and our Eastern Washington Grenache,
Nice.
single varietal.
Yeah.
I love Pinot Noirs, but I also love Grenache.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Love Grenache.
Definitely inspired I had a bottle of a certain winery that makes Grenache and in 2007. And it inspired me so much. I was like, I need to do this. I don't have Sangiovese on the flight, but that is one of our very popular wines here. And it's in the library, available to wine club members.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at myself
Yeah,
right now.
right. There you go. Bingo. Ding, ding,
So
ding.
your vineyard really focuses on Pinot Noir.
Yeah, absolutely.
You told us the 3 different strains of Pinot Noir that you have.
Right.
And then are those different strains, are those mixed together or are they broken out into...
Well, I usually break them out during fermentation and then decide if I'm going to do a separate bottling. But I always come back to blending them in the end just because of the balance, the unique balance that they offer. I mean, there's a lot of people a lot of winemakers that do clonal selections for different wines, 777, 115, 667, so on and so forth. Pomard. And also single vineyards. Pinot from this vineyard, Pinot from that vineyard. And, they'll do 5, 10, 15 of them. I just like the blend of those 3 clones together. I just think that they balance each other out and it provides a great profile.
Well, it's so rare that you're going to have one strain of grape where all of them turned out exactly the way you want them to turn out and they all taste exactly the way you want them to taste. I mean, we don't eat food that way. You look at white bread. There are so many variables in white bread. How much salt you put in, how much baking powder you put in, how much sugar you put in, any of that. And wine's really no different. Generally speaking, you can never just take a single food product of anything, and just say this one thing is so amazing on its own in this massive quantity that we can now take and make a massive quantity
It's
of
kind of
wine.
like that nine grain bread, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or beer. I mean, there are single hop beers, of course. But you know what? It's always magical when there's a great blend of some great classic hops. And you're like, wow, I got it. This is good.
Well, and that's what you're doing here. You're a true alchemist. You're sitting down and you're combining all of your grapes to see, what ratios taste the best. And I love that. There's so much science, and not just science, but there's equal parts of love and knowledge and experience that are put into that pie.
Yeah. Tomorrow I will do fining trials, my third fining trial for our 2017 Pinot Noir tomorrow. And then we'll, get ready for bottling in August. And so lots to do, lots to prepare for, and so on. Everything is very front end loaded in the wine business. So you grow the grapes, you destem them, you press them, you ferment, you wait a little more. And there's all those steps in between of taking care of that wine as it matures. And then you put it in the bottle. Our motto here has always been 1 year in the barrel, 1 year in the bottle, and then we'll release it. So we pour vintages here that are a little bit maybe behind the mass production wineries, because they're making a product and they're kicking it out the door because that's how they make a living. And if they don't have wine to sell, then they're not making money. Right. So I actually have, there's quite a few people that are pushing 2017 Pinots out the door for sale. We haven't even bottled ours yet. I know a lot of people that won't even bottle theirs until next year.
Yeah. That shows you how many chemicals are going in the front end, though. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but there's a very old winemaker. He's an old vine, I guess you could say. And I had a long discussion with him about why do you sit on your stuff for so long before you release it? And he had the perfect analogy for me. He said, have you ever bought a year-old bottle of red wine and you opened it and it tasted fantastic? And I said, yeah. He said, have you ever let that sit for 3 or 4 days? And I say, yeah. And how did it taste? Well, it tasted awful. It had to be dumped out. Okay, now take a 10-year aged bottle, something that a real winemaker made and didn't start selling the bottles until 3 years ago, and the vintage is 10 years old. And how long can that sit open? Well, it can sit open for a week or two and be okay. And that was his way of explaining to me, these wines that get pushed out really quick, they do taste good a lot of the time, but for the majority of the brands, they taste good because they've been engineered to taste good. And it's less of the grape itself.
Right. It's I think it's really important to let the wine be who it wants to be, and not, we kind of have a minimalist approach, I guess, where it's more hands off than hands on. And in the end, what we're trying to do is just make sure that that flavor profile and the phenolics are everything that we want it to be, and that the wine has the right balance to it for pH, acidity, etc. So yeah, winemaking, like anything, it's a careful process. It's a process that the cleaner, the more sanitary your operation is, the better the product is, the better the outcome. Definitely take some careful planning, and it's just it truly is test your patience, because sometimes you make mistakes. Sometimes it isn't everything that you were hoping or you thought it was going to be. And then you go, you know what? I blew that, but you know what? I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to do a better job next time.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Well, and that's where the passion comes into it. Because if you're passionate about it, then that's how you take that. You don't take that as, oh, I guess I'm not any good at this, I'm going to move on. You take that as a learning experience, and you do learn from it, and you apply that knowledge the next time around. Yeah,
except for this isn't Budweiser, so it can be a more expensive lesson.
It can.
Let's just say the learning curve is a little steeper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a fact. So yeah, there's a lot to it. It's really cool, though. I mean, when you like I said, when somebody tastes your wine and says, "Oh my God, I can't believe you made this," and you're like, "Well, I had help, but hey, I'm in it knee deep."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't stomp those grapes with my feet. You wouldn't want that, but
Well, that's good.
but yeah, right. But yeah, no, it's there's a lot to it. It's fun. It's been a big journey. It's kind of interesting because here we are, we're in South Salem, which when we started, there was maybe 300 wineries in Oregon. That was over 700. And sometimes it seems like we're on the wrong side of the tracks out here because we don't have a lot of wineries out here. There's some new ones, which is great. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But a lot of the focus has always been on Dundee and the Dundee Hills and Eola and Carlton and so on. And so sometimes we're like maybe a little bit of redheaded stepchildren. However, there are some huge vineyards and huge tracts of land down here now that are planted, which, is testament to the area and the uniqueness of the South Salem Hills. I think this is a great, unique area. And if you think about where the hills start and the breakoff point being, River Road, following the hill all the way around, turning into, I think it's Riverdale, and then turning into Ankeny, and then turning into over in Turner, kind of out. We almost have to include that whole area of Shadow Hills Estates up in that area, and trying to think of the road out there, but Parish Gap.
Oh, yes.
And then that kind of comes around. So it's just this huge uplift, and we're at 850 feet of elevation. So we have a little bit more wind up here. It causes the skins of our grapes to be a little thicker, which intensifies the extraction of color and flavor. And
Perfect.
Interesting.
And our vines are very low to the ground, so our fruiting cane is about 18 inches off the deck. So the sun heats up the earth, and that radiant heat projects back up on the fruit. The nutrients for everything that's in that soil and the water and so on don't have far to go between root and fruit. And we are all single fruiting cane in our vineyard, and we alternate each year.
Might call that from the rooter to the fruiter.
Right, there you go, right? Root to fruit.
Yeah, root to fruit.
Root to fruit. So, yeah. And, so it's just, it makes sense. It was something that I picked up from Gary Andrus and up at Archery Summit, looking at their vines, and Domaine Drouin. Our French friends from across the pond came over and established a winery here. And if you go look at their vines and look how low and tight and so on they are, it's amazing. So we grow, that root system supports less fruit-bearing shoots. And so less shoots, bigger leaves, more vigor, etc.
That's really interesting. I'm hung up on this now. You mentioned Parish Gap Road.
Yeah.
The wife and I just went out that way, and it brought back some memories because I used a street race out there.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, this was 50 years ago, and I'm not talking about Parish Gap Road in Oregon. I'm talking about Parish Gap Road in Mexico. But,
Oh, yeah. Right.
Definitely brought back some memories. And boy, back then it was all just mobile homes and cattle and farmland, of course. But yeah, now you're driving out there and there's little vineyards that are popping up. There's little boutique farms that are small batch and producing really interesting stuff. And we went out that way looking at some really specialty chickens. So I mean, that whole area it's been populated by people who are doing some very small batch things. And I feel like that area has a really unique microclimate in and of itself. And it just seems to be producing a lot of good things in general. So I have to assume that any wines are coming out of that area and coming out of your area, because this is very similar, are just going to be a cut above.
Well, I think that's true. I think there's a lot of good things coming out of these hills.
Yep.
The Willamette Valley undoubtedly has some of the best wines
yeah.
in the world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really does.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was actually in the Denver airport here a couple months ago and sitting at a bar having lunch before my flight, and got in conversation with the people next to me. And she was from the East Coast. I can't remember. I want to say maybe Boston area or something, and had flown into Denver to visit family. and I mentioned that I was from Oregon. And she said, oh, my friend told me about this wine from Oregon, and I can't think of the name of it. And she's like texting her friend, and she goes, oh, it's Willem. I said, Willamette Valley. She's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, the Willamette Valley. That's where I'm from. And Willamette Valley Vineyards is there. But if you go there, go ahead and go to Willamette Valley. But you also have to go to Trinity, and it's just like 2 hills over.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
So she's plugging you from all the way in.
Right.
Everybody,
I love that.
Everybody knows
Everybody in
about
the
Willamette
Denver
Valley.
airport was jumping for joy. You know, it's funny that sometimes our wines make it all the way across the country. I have some friends in New York that are pretty ardent admirers of us. And there's, you just never know who you're going to reach and how it's going to go. And
people travel from all over to go wine tasting.
Just had people from Memphis here in the tasting room last weekend.
Wow.
And, super nice. I had a young lady from Florida. You never know.
Yeah.
This is becoming, it's becoming a wine and beer mecca here.
Oh, absolutely.
I met some people from
Agritourism.
Australia when we were living in Portland, and they just straight up said, yeah, we're here for like a beer tour. They were doing a week-long Oregon beer tour.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's great.
We're attracting all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin, to be perfectly honest. Traffic is getting a little poor around my place, but
well, it's good. The agritourism here in Oregon is just so up and coming. I'm so happy for that. Oh, another good thing. We have some new neighbors, and our neighbors decided to plant a new vineyard.
Oh, great.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, fantastic.
So it's cool. And had a chance to talk to them, and they're excited about it and passionate, and it's looking good. And all I can say is, welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And grow something besides Pinot, please.
We actually planted some Chardonnay, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. There's not enough Chardonnays around here, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think we're a little Chardonnay poor, so
We
bring it
are.
on.
I like Chardonnay. I like Riesling. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't actually like oak Chardonnay. I feel like it gives some really bizarre flavors for me.
Yeah.
I
I've
like
had
the steel
some that
barrel
are,
aged.
but
I can't really think of too many wines that I don't like. It's hard to, maybe white Zinfandel. That's that's on my not so good list.
right.
Yeah. But there's a lot of great wines everywhere. So I try to keep an open mind. And I know some people that, kind of turn their noses up at different varietals. And I think, I'm just going to give it a shot, because you never know, that winemaker might be really gifted.
If it's a good tasting grape, it could be a good tasting wine.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of good tasting wine, we've been doing a lot of talking and not a lot of drinking.
You poured us some of this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc, and this is a gorgeous wine. I'm kind of rolling it around in my glass, and this thing has got some incredible legs on it. It's just clinging to the side of the glass.
Yeah, it's this beautiful golden color. I love it.
It does sparkle.
Yeah.
And this is steel barrel fermented, right?
Correct. All stainless.
It has this earthy note on my nose.
Yeah, I think that the bouquet tells a lot about the wine. I think it's the invitation that says yay or nay. Do you like me? Do you not like me? Can you take a chance on me?
It's that first impression.
Right. And I think there's a lot going on. I get notes of lemongrass, jasmine, some Bartlett pear, a lot of citrus.
Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful undertone of grapefruit.
Yeah.
And more grapefruit on the mid palate.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, that little bit of an earthy note that you get. And I think that's just the depth and complexity of the fruit.
Absolutely.
Because it's all stainless fermentation, so we don't have any nuances from the oak or anything there. It's just pure fruit. I love it. It's dry and crisp.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so clean on the palate. And what I like from a good wine, it lingers, but not too long, stays on your palate. It's got this really nice, just almost like a candy flavor on the back of my palate.
Nice.
Yeah. It's really good.
This pairs great with seafood. We've done quite a few dishes with this. Grilled octopus. Lots of grilled vegetables with this wine pairs really well. Any fish dishes that you're doing, halibut, etc. And of course, the lighter poultry dishes all go well. My wife Cindy makes a phenomenal lemon caper chicken.
Ooh, wow.
Nice.
It's like a chicken piccata, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. And that all the saltiness of that, of capers and so on goes really well with this. Oysters, fantastic with this. Barbecued oysters, even better.
I've noticed you've used the term grill and barbecue a few times. Are you a barbecue man?
I love to grill and I love to barbecue. And, the only thing that's missing in my life right now is a big wood fire pit.
Ooh.
For
Nice.
queuing.
Yeah.
And I want to build one that's so big that I can lower like a whole lamb or a whole pig on it and then adjust it. I saw one on a video on YouTube from Opolo Vineyards down in Napa, or excuse me, Paso Robles. And he had the greatest rig. It was so amazing. And he could flip it and he could lower it. You had it kind of on a flagpole with a cable.
Oh, wow.
And you could really adjust it so the fire pit was below. And I just thought, man, that is like, that's good living.
Oh, yeah,
man.
that's a fantastic way to go.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about wanting to do a Santa Maria grill. I have a cowboy
there
grill
you
at
go.
home, so it's a fire pit with a raisable grate,
right.
know.
Perfect.
And I love, love making breakfasts on that thing.
Nice.
Those crisp, cool mornings where it's a little bit cloudy, you just start a fire, you sit out there with your coffee.
I just think Argentinian
Absolutely.
beef and on. I think of feeding an army of people.
Yeah.
Something
I'll
fun
be in
like
that army.
Okay, good.
Now you're talking my language. I like that.
I like it. You're all inducted and drafted.
Perfect.
We're on it.
I am not going to dodge that draft.
Good.
And did I hear you correctly? You're doing a whole pig?
We are. We're doing a whole pig.
Yeah. That's going to be great.
We're going to use a Louisiana microwave.
A Louisiana microwave, meaning...
Yeah, it's just a pig in a box.
there you go, pig
Pig
in a box.
Pig in a box.
What are those called? I want to say it's called a China box, but it's...
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
actually.
it's something
I think that's
around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it in the big box and it's steel lined with wood on the outside.
Exactly.
And then coals go on top.
Oh,
exactly.
This metal lid that goes on it.
Yep.
It looks like it wouldn't do a whole lot, but apparently it just makes the most amazing.
We did it last year.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. We did it last year, and that was our dry run, and it was phenomenal.
I bet.
You got to take a couple cans of beer, pop the tops, and throw those in there, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. That's the secret.
Well, you need the moisture. I mean, that's
You
what the
need
argument
moisture.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want it to dry out.
No.
Exactly.
And why not add flavor at the same time?
Yeah.
Boom, there you go.
A lot of olive oil and spices. You can kind of go crazy with that. There's a 1,000 different recipes there.
Oh, yeah. I want to do a whole hog at some point. I have a smoker right now that I think would fit a half of a small hog. And I want to do that at some point. I want to get a big party together and do that. We've already had a couple of the big parties at our place. And I did, for like the triple birthday bash, where it was yours and mine and Sarah Tracy's. We did 4 racks of ribs and a pork shoulder and a whole mess of chicken wings. I don't remember, 50,
Love
60.
it.
And it was all gone within about 15 minutes.
It was all gone. It was all gone. We didn't have any food to pack up.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
great.
that.
I think we could easily have half a hog and have it just feed everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe Andy, you and I, but...
I might get left out.
Well,
to get there early.
We'll say so for you.
Might have to trip you on, on the way to the smoker.
Exactly, right? Right.
You got to make sure that you're not bumping into my elbows. You'll get a little bit.
Well, that's great. I'm intrigued by, I think as most people are, by good barbecue. And, grilling's one thing. Barbecue's a different thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole different thing. And I just, I don't know. I don't want to exclude you, Joe, at all, but.
Oh, no, not at all.
Man, fire,
Yeah.
food. It's kind of it's very elemental.
It
Should
is.
I say? There's just, those basic elements.
Yeah.
And you think about, and so I go beyond that. I think about the basic elements and then I just add wine to the end of that,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
fire, food, wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. JoJo actually got in a little bit of trouble from one of our friends over at Ugly Drum Smokers, Texas, Stephen Powell. What did you say? You barbecued some brats?
Yeah.
Well, you meant grilled brats, but no, he was not having it. He was like, hey, now, that's not barbecue.
I don't know. I grew up in Salem, Oregon, man. If it was outside and there was fire,
Yeah.
It was a barbecue.
Yeah, right.
That's a barbecue,
right? Right. I know.
That's
That's
what barbecue is here in St. Morgan.
If you're in Texas, you get in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We're not in Texas.
They might
though,
run you out of town. Up here, it's, but I have a lot of great seasoned cherry wood, and I have a lot of great oak. And so I have it all. I just need to build. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I need to build that big old goodness furnace.
Yeah.
What I need to do is build a firewood rack. I've been holding off on getting a delivery of firewood. There's some places around here that do the oak and the maple. I've got a good source for maple, and I love cooking over dried seasoned maple wood.
Sure.
But I need a way of storing it. Like, I can't just stack it next to my grill because it's in the backyard. My space isn't really set up for it. And so I've been holding off because I keep thinking, okay, I'm just going to build this rack to put the wood on, but I haven't built the rack yet. And so I'm in this eternal struggle of, all right, do I just bite the bullet and get the wood now and put it on the ground, even though I kind of don't want to?
Oh, there's an awesome redneck method for that. You get a couple cinder blocks.
Oh, I totally built one of those in my backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the holes are cut out. Just take some 2x4s. They go up at an angle. You just do the V.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I posted a picture of that on our Facebook page, and I think it was Stephen Powell that posted a picture of his version of that, which was 3 cinder blocks.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a double wide.
Yeah.
And I
There you
then
go.
copied his idea and made a double wide
Perfect.
stacker with the 3 cinder blocks, and that would be 6 2x4s. And
We made one that's over by my shop, and we made it out of pallets. It's actually one long, like an 8-foot long pallet,
Yeah.
6 foot long pallet. And then I put pallet sides and pallet back on
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and it holds about 3 quarts
Oh,
of
yeah.
wood. But that's, first of all, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And second of all, I mean, it's over by my shop, and so I didn't really care too much, and that's what I put together.
Yeah.
I suppose I could put something together like that
Yeah.
that's by the house. It's just not real visually appealing, I guess you could
Well,
say.
we actually broke apart a pallet and used some of the wood from that to build our cinder block.
The
stacker.
irony.
So if you have a pallet, all you need is like 3 cinder blocks.
Yeah.
There you go.
I suppose I could do it that way, just to get something done and get the wood in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to do it soon. I'm jealous of you. You've got so much of the stuff available here and the space available, and you can pretty much do anything you want to do on these grounds. So beautiful, and anything
Thank
you
you.
do is
That's
just
so
going to
nice.
look like it's going to be such an attraction. You know, it's like your pond and your fountain over here. I saw that, and I just thought, oh my gosh, that's so perfect for this setting.
It is so nice to sit out. And even if you're not listening to music, you're listening to the waterfall and the water. And it's soothing. It's rejuvenating.
Yeah.
I think.
Kick your shoes off and just stick them in the grass. And,
Exactly.
oh, yeah.
I love that idea though of building some kind of a cowboy grill or fire pit or something. I think that would be a great feature. It'd be a great feature to have
would.
here. It's funny. My dad used to feed a lot of people. It's kind of funny. We would have a lot of neighborhood kids and so on show up at our table. And my dad would say, my kids have already washed their hands and faces because they know better. If you haven't, if you're not my kids, you better go wash them and then come back. And he would literally feed 15 people
Oh, my goodness.
at the dinner table.
But only if their hands and faces were
Well,
washed.
exactly.
That's right.
You couldn't eat unless you wash your hands and your paws. But it was great. My dad is the kind of guy that he's not with us anymore, but he's passed on. But my dad was the kind of guy that he just found great pleasure in feeding people. He found that was a great way to talk to people, to find out what they're about and where they're coming from, and a great way to just open up.
Yeah.
You know, just to show them that he cares and so on. And it's funny because I think somehow I'm doing that with wine.
Oh, yeah.
I like
Yeah.
to ply people with wine so that I can kind of find out what they're interested in and what they think and how they feel and what do they like and where are they coming from, and because there's just a wealth of of knowledge and information and so on that people can share.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason why we do this podcast, because Boost, Booze, and Barbecue, those are your 3 most effective social lubricants.
Oh, yeah.
If there are other people that like cars, you can talk cars.
Oh, yeah.
If there's booze around, that'll get people talking. And man, if there's good barbecue around, that'll definitely get people mingling and talking.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, you got a second wine here for us. What is this?
This is a 2012 Estate Pinot Noir.
Man, this is dark for being a Pinot.
It was a very warm year. We picked before the rain. Kind of harkens back to earlier conversation about being a little thicker skinned, a little more extraction. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. You can't hardly, you hold it up to the light and you can't see through it.
It's very dark, very garnet,
Yeah.
dark garnet color.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a great wine for us. This scored well with the Wine Enthusiast, and 92-point Editor's Choice, and they even wrote a couple nice articles for us, and featuring this wine. One of them is kind of fun to say. It's a plethora of properly priced Pinots.
Oh.
And it was great to head the list on that. And so this wine is, $25 a bottle.
Oh, what a value.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I think a lot of people, even in people on the list that were made that list, were $55, $60.
Wow.
But you know what? We live out here in the hinterlands, and we try to keep our wines priced very well. Let's put it that way. Just in that we're not in it to make tons of money. We're in it for the passion part of it, for the get the wine to the people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be $50, $60, $70 a bottle.
Right. Well, the deep red color really matches the flavor. I mean, this thing is big and bold. I hate to say this because I know I'm going to get a lot of flack, but I mean, this is so big and jammy. It's not what I think of when I think Pinot.
Yeah, it's not probably a classic feminine Pinot. I'd say it has little shoulders and a little more masculine, but nonetheless, I think that it's true to its varietal characteristics, and that it's definitely Pinot. There's no mistake in that.
Jammy.
Yeah.
Candy.
Yep.
Raspberries, blueberries.
Spices. There's an earthiness. I tell you what I want to do with this is put it on my Thanksgiving table in lieu of cranberry sauce and just pour it all over my plate.
When I drink this one, I just want to barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think about. I think about ribs. I don't know.
I'm
That's
with
just
you.
me. Or I think about lamb, because I like lamb with Grenache and Syrah, and I like lamb with this Pinot.
I actually think buffalo ribs would go really well with this Pinot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a little bit bigger, bolder than beef is.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't want to call it gamey, but, it would stand up to this fantastic wine.
This is not a faint of heart Pinot.
No, and typically when you said it's not your typical feminine Pinot, I mean, that might be what you call it, but what I call it in my limited vocabulary is fruit roll-up.
Oh, yeah.
Like not today's fruit roll-up.
Right.
Like the fruit roll-up when I was a kid that was actually sold in the produce section.
Yeah, right.
And they were
they're real fruit.
20 cents a piece. And so mom would go by and grab the whole thing and throw them in the cart because they were great to pack in our lunches. But yeah, made with real fruit roll-ups. So it's not a bad thing. But that's kind of what I consider to be the signature Willamette Valley Pinot flavor that I find all the time.
Very fruit forward, etc.
And this is not that.
No, this is not that. This is a different animal. Nonetheless, I think that just in the category of substantial Pinot Noir that I think appeals to a broad range of people, because all the people that I have poured this for, I can't think of one person that said, "Oh no, I don't like that."
Oh no.
I can see, because I take a sip and it's so good. I want to just hold it in my mouth, but then after I swallow it, the aftertaste is so good.
Right.
that I'm really glad I actually swallowed it.
I think the thing that I think is important to say too is that it has still a lot of acidity.
Yeah.
And it's because we don't lime our vineyard to dumb down the acidity.
Right.
We like acid-driven wines.
Yeah.
We like acidity. Acidity is our friend. The reason why we like acidity is because acidity is what the fruit holds on to for aging. That wine is never going to make it if it doesn't have a good acid back to hold on to.
I think that needs to go on a t-shirt.
Right.
Acidity is our friend.
Acid is our friend.
Yeah.
Let's keep going with that. What is it about
Acidity.
So acidity is just low pH, high acidity wines. And we want that. You'll notice that your mouth is watering a little bit. And
A lot.
A little bit. I just use that sparingly. A lot. And that makes it an awesome food friendly wine as well. It's not a flabby Pinot.
Flabby.
It's not flabby.
Well, and
this
it's also
one's been to the gym.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
also not so dry that it's just making my whole mouth pucker.
Yeah. And that's a great point. It's not chalky.
Right.
And it's not dry in that respect, although this wine, by winemaking standards, is completely dry.
Yeah. I do get a dry finish, but then immediately I get that mouth-watering effect.
It's not just
And
ruining your palate.
No, and within a second, I'm I'm going back for more.
I love the finish on this. It's a everlasting gobstopper.
Yeah.
Just keeps going.
And if you can breathe through your nose a little bit as you're pouring it into your mouth, you're getting inundated with all the different flavors that are coming off of this
Well,
wine.
now you're asking me to multitask.
I know. I was going to say, I don't have the coordination for that, Andy.
Well, you'll notice
I'll work on that one.
I keep my beard thick so that you can't see the wine running down the sides of my mouth.
I like it. It's just something for later. Just strain it, make something good. There's a cuvee beard.
Do you have any idea how often I could say that's what she said when I'm doing this podcast?
Right.
And I have
Right.
So many times.
I know.
Hold
That's one of
myself
my
back.
favorite
Really?
lines,
Hold on
too.
to it. Right. I like that strainer. It's a good strainer. I like that. There's a certain part of me too that wants to say that there's a little pomegranate. When I say that, I think of the palm juice.
Yes.
And I could just, think of opening that and drinking that and what that tastes like.
Yeah.
And I think of even eating a pomegranate, how it's a little bit, a little sour, but a little sweet in a great way.
I'm with you.
I think that there's a little bit of that. There's a lot going on.
So much going on.
Yeah. You know what? That's fun because that makes wine interesting.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I would rather make a wine that's interesting than a wine that's really one-dimensional, really has no defining quality, really has no redeeming qualities to it. That's, so sometimes we venture into uncharted territory where we want to make a wine that we haven't made before. And people are like, well, why did you make that? Because I like it. And it's not necessarily always about, I'm making this wine because the masses will like it. I don't make wine that way.
No.
I don't make wine thinking, oh, gee, I'm going to make wine so that I can sell it so all these people will like it. We just don't. That's not our program here at Trinity.
I think that's one of the privileges of being a boutique winery.
I would agree.
And I think that's something that the big boys really miss out on.
Well, I think the big boys, they have people that tell them, you need to make more of this because this is what the people want. And we have all these statistics and all of this data that tells us that this is what you should make and this is how you should make it. This is, they want fruit forward, wines that drink now. And it's like,
Yeah, that's called grape juice.
yeah, right. So we're not on that program. We're on a program of, these are wines that we're interested in that we want to share with other people.
Yeah.
We want to share Grenache with other people. Do a lot of people make Grenache? No. Why? It's not that popular. People don't really know what it is. They don't know what to expect. Do people buy a lot of Sangiovese? Do people know what that is? No, it's a hand sell. people come in the tasting room and they go, "What is this Sangiovese? What is this?" You know, they butcher the crap out of that. But it's great. So I like to tell them, "Hey, you know what? This is something new that you haven't tried. Maybe that this could open a world for you, open a door that you've not." Tried, maybe a door to all Italian wines. Maybe you've never had a Barbera. Maybe you've never had a Great Barolo. Maybe you've never had a Nebbiolo. Maybe you've not had these wines. So this might be a gateway wine for you, right?
Yeah. Isn't that exciting though?
Yeah.
To be in a position to invite people to experience something they've never experienced before.
Right.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, in the analogy of making a wine simply because you wanted to make it, the best wines are made that way. The best cars are made that way.
There you go.
I mean, how often do you see people that have these amazing builds that end up getting featured at SEMA?
Yeah.
Hey, why'd you build this car?
Right.
Because I wanted to.
Do you think that Spiker cars are made for the masses?
No, of course not.
No.
I got to tell you this. I have this guilty pleasure. It's like probably the only show that I watch on TV.
Yeah.
It's Mike and Frank.
Mike and Frank.
And it's American.
Oh, American Pickers.
American
Yeah,
Pickers.
that's a great
Thank
show.
you. You know, when you get over 50, you have like potholes, right?
Yeah.
Right. So,
That's me now.
yeah, there you go. Some of my friends more than others. But anyway, so American Pickers, love the show.
Yeah.
Love the fact that Mike, half the time or more, he's so wanting to preserve the patina of something and the preservation of all the rust and crustiness makes it cool. You know what? I respect that. I think
Absolutely.
that's great. So
Even the very fake Pawn Stars, whenever they'd have somebody bring in an old pistol that they had taken a Scotch Brite to, they would just look at him and go, "You know what,
why'd
man?
you do that?"
Bury this thing in the dirt for like 3 years and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's going to have value.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I went nuts over this 190 SL Mercedes that was at Mecum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Legit barn find.
Oh, yeah.
And the motor had been gone through. And I want to say they checked the brakes and everything too. And it was dirty.
Love it.
Some of the paint had chipped off. There was some surface rust.
That's
Wasn't
what
too
you
bad.
want.
And it had obviously been inside because the interior was pristine.
Yep.
Love it.
And I wanted that car so bad. I wanted to take that car home.
Do you remember what the
give
hammer
it a little
was?
bit of a wash and then just drive it.
Do you remember what the
It didn't
hammer
sell.
was? Oh, it didn't sell.
It got bid up to like 45,000.
Oh my
and
God!
it did not sell.
Oh my God! So it obviously had a little higher reserve.
Oh yeah,
and-
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Well,
Yeah.
you know what my favorite part of that car was? Looking on the inner fender well, there was a stamp there that said "Made in West Germany."
Yeah.
Oh yeah!
That was my absolute
Yeah.
favorite part of that. I looked at that and I was just like, "Oh my gosh!"
So-
this thing was built before the Berlin Wall came down. I had completely forgotten about it.
super interesting childhood friend that lives not far from here was finding those cars and specializing in these 190s
Yeah.
and rotising them
Oh, okay.
or not,
Or
depending
not.
on what you wanted.
Yes. Yeah.
His name is Chip. And Chip was, I don't know if he's still doing it or not. I haven't talked to him for a few years, but he,
Is his last name Foose because he's still doing it?
right. No, not that guy. No, different Chip, but, no, he's a local guy. And, it was funny because years and years ago, I had gone to an auction, down in Reno with a friend of mine. We took his Buick down, and so we go down and we're at this auction, and I see this 57 T-Bird. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty sweet. It's a 2-owner car and all original.
Wow.
Has 55,000 miles on it.
What?
And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And they had all it was very authentic. They had all of the paperwork for it and everything. It was great. The guy that owned it before he had sold it to another guy, he was an engineer for Reynolds Metals and aluminum people.
Oh, Reynolds Wrap.
Reynolds Wrap.
Reynolds Wrap.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. And he was very concerned about the viscosity of the oil and the temperature of the oil. So he put in an oil gauge and so on. And T-Birds do run a little warm.
Oh, okay.
They typically run a little hot. So he, justified. He even put Hedman headers on it. There's a 4-barrel on it. Flowmasters. And that car, I remember it was between that car and a 190 SL.
Oh my God.
And I was just torn between the two. Mm-hmm. And the 190 was a maroon car. It was maroon exterior paint. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was just like you could stick your finger in it halfway. And a kind of a, I don't want to say buckskin. I want to say
camel,
kind of a camel, or a little more, maybe a little more orange.
Mm-hmm. Interior.
Yeah, interior.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the color combo was great. And I just remember it was between those two. We ended up taking the T-Bird home and driving it back here and had it ever since.
Yeah.
I think it's been about,
I sneaked a peek at it in your garage last time I was here.
It's been about 18 years now, I think.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And that's one T-Bird. You have two, right?
We do. We have a 62 Roadster.
Ooh.
Convertible that we love, and we call her Rosie because she looks like the Jetsons robot. So that's what we always say.
That's cute.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's super, it's a round bird is what they call that.
Well, since you're kind of a fan of the T-Birds, what did you think about when Ford tried to bring the T-Bird back around?
I thought that was, I thought it was a noble effort, but I just couldn't get behind it.
Nah.
It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I would have, if it were me, and if I were the designer and I was the guy doing it, I would have brought the Longbird back.
Yeah?
I would have brought that 60 through 63, possibly even the 64 with the square tail lights.
Right.
And, the Thelma Louise car, I guess is what a lot of people identify. I would have brought that back. I would have made it long. I would have made it long. I would have made it ostentatious. It would have been beautiful.
Well, honestly, anything would have been better than
right. It was a sloppy job.
Yeah. Well, it was like Chevy bringing back the Malibu. Yeah. That was a wah-wah.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah. And Ford was trying to do their thing with Jaguar, and so they put I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a 4.2 liter V8 in it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I think that really missed the mark. Personally, I don't think those cars look bad, but the fact that you couldn't get a manual in them, I think was strike two, quite frankly, but strike one was not using their existing motor lineup, because if they had used like the supercharged 4.6 or even the 5.4 out of the Lightning, the supercharged 5.4, that I think would have made that car an instant classic. They didn't embrace the horsepower enough. They put something in it that made 240 horse, and that just completely missed the mark.
I would say, though, that I think something that's been successful, in my opinion, is bringing back the Ford Mustang.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
even though there's been some evolution to that, it's got a little meaner
some
looking.
Some are better than others.
Right, some are better than others, but all in all, I think that's been a successful, successful venture.
Yeah.
Oh, and that new motor, the Coyote 5.0. What an engineering marvel that thing is. That is an amazing motor. The heads on that motor are so tall, though, it makes the engine really wide.
Oh.
So it's not going to be really popular for swaps, I don't think, because it's such a wide engine. That's what makes the LS such a popular choice, is because it's so compact. But that Coyote motor, I would take that over an LS every day. I'm just being honest. If I can make it fit. Actually, what's funny is a friend of ours, a friend of the show too, Creed, he just finished his turbo kit for his Coyote Mustang.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's still doing the break-in. I actually ran into him driving through downtown Albany, and car making some beautiful sounds, of course. I rolled the window down and I was like, "Hey man, good to see you." And he threw some revs my way, and I just love the sound. Love the sound.
It's music.
It really is.
It's music.
Well, folks, we're at about the halfway mark of this amazing interview with Steve Parker at Trinity Vineyards. I did not want to cut anything out because it was just all so good, so I've decided to cut it into two different parts. I'll be releasing part 2 tomorrow, so make sure that you tune in for that. Their Facebook page, their Instagram page, their website, it's all just Trinity Vineyards. And, of course, if you're in the area, make sure that you're able to stop by. They've got amazing wines open all the time, and the location is fantastic, obviously. So make sure you go and check them out. While you're at it, go ahead and check us out. Facebook.com/boostboozeandbbq. Instagram's boostboozebbq. The website, of course, is boostboozebbq.com. The Teespring store is up and going. We'll have a link underneath the show to that, so make sure you head on over there. Check that out. See if there's anything that you like, and any support that you can give us, even if it's just a like and a subscribe. It all helps. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. And for JoJo and everyone else here at Boost, Booze, and Barbecue, this is Andy, and we will see you next time.
Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.